Today is the 10th of December, World Human Rights Day, and I'm going to mark the day by sending 10 Christmas cards to political prisoners who are currently being held in prison by the dictatorial regime in Belarus. Please keep watching to hear their stories and to learn what you can do to help them. Since 1994, Belarus has been ruled by a dictator named Alexander Lukashenko. In the summer of 2020, mass protests erupted in Belarus following Lukashenko's election to a sixth term, what were, according to pretty much everyone in the world, except Vladimir Putin, fraudulent elections. And the rightful winner of that election was almost certainly Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who is now in exile and tours the world working tirelessly to raise awareness of the plight of her people. A few days ago, in a speech she gave in Munich, President Tikhanovskaya called on the world to provide moral support to the over 900 political prisoners being held by the Lukashenko regime. And so, I'm going to try and do my best. There is a good website which gives instructions on how to write the different political prisoners, and there's another website which has a full list of all the political prisoners along with their charges, how long they've been held, where they're being detained, and the address that you can write to them to. I'll put links in a pinned comment below. According to what I've read, the letters need to be written in either Russian or Belarusian. And although it's not required, it's preferable that they be handwritten. It just so happens that I studied Russian for a year and a half, not long enough to really be able to speak it properly, but I do remember Russian handwriting, which is kind of not like the printed alphabet. It's substantially different. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to write in Russian because the Russian and Belarusian alphabets are not exactly the same. There's some letters which don't appear in Russian, which appear in Belarusian. And so I'm worried I'll get the handwriting conventions wrong. And so I'm just going to stick to Russian. So I went through the list of over 900 political prisoners, and using a random number generator, I randomly selected 10 to write. Then I went through and read their stories. I have to say it was all pretty shocking. So let me share these with you now. This is Alexei Sianko, who has been detained since the 30th of September 2021. He was charged with insulting a government official and incitement to hatred. He was actually posting comments online about the deaths of an IT worker named Andrei Zeltser and a KB agent named Dmitry Fedosiak. Alexei is being held at prison number 1. This is Natalia Nikitsina, who by coincidence is being held on the same exact charges as Alexei Sianko, for making online comments about the exact same cases. She has been detained since the 29th of September 2021 and is being held at pre-trial detention center number 8. This is Mikhail Yudzin, a businessman, who has been held since the 27th of September 2020 for, quote, violence or threat of violence against an employee of the Internal Affairs bodies. Mikhail was on the way to see a film with his wife when he confronted police officers who were dragging a man down the street. He was gassed in the face and his arm was broken. He was then sentenced to 4 years in prison and is currently being held at Penal Colony number 17. This is Alexei Hameza, who has been detained since the 1st of October 2021 on a charge of organization and preparation of actions that grossly violate public order or active participation in them. Basically, he took part in a protest. He is being held at pre-trial detention center number 1. This is Ivan Supel, who has been held since the 22nd of March 2021. He was arrested at a demonstration following the 2020 presidential election and was charged with participation in riots. He has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. He is being held at pre-trial detention center number 7. This is Ihar Sienkiewicz, who has been held since the 11th of November 2021 on a charge of organization and preparation of actions that grossly violate public order or active participation in them. Again, essentially, he took part in a protest. He is being held at pretrial detention center number 1. This is Yauhen Kakanewski, who has been detained since the 27th of August 2020. He has been convicted of organization and preparation of actions that grossly violate public order or active participation in them, and violence or threat of violence against an employee of the Internal Affairs bodies. Again, he took part in a protest and there must have been a scuffle with a police officer. He was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. He is being held at Penal Colony number 1. This is Elena Tolkacheva. She's a journalist and she worked for the independent news website Tutbi. Tutbi was at one point read by 2/3 of all Belarusians every month, but was declared extremist by the government, and the website was shut down in August of 2021. Elena has been held since the 18th of May 2021 and is charged with evasion of taxes and fees. She is being held at pretrial detention center number 1. This is Andrei Piotrovsky. He's a school teacher who has been held since the 25th of August 2021. In March this year, Andrei showed a video to his class which included the logo of a group the government considers extremist. One of his 11th grade students filmed the video presentation on his phone and then informed on Andrei to the police. He has been convicted of slander against the President of the Republic of Belarus and sentenced to 1.5 years in prison. He is being held at Penal Colony number 2. And lastly, Tatiana Astruskaya, who has been held since the 9th of July 2021. Tatiana is a volunteer with the A Country for Living Foundation, an organization which is campaigning for freedom and democracy in Belarus. She is charged with financing the activities of an extremist group and is being held at pretrial detention center number 1. I can't imagine what it's like to be imprisoned. Not really. And to be imprisoned as a political prisoner, just for speaking your mind or saying something online or taking part in a protest. My first thought is that must be absolutely infuriating to have to face that every single day and to know that you're just one of 1,000 political prisoners spread across the country. It must be incredibly lonely and dispiriting. And I just can't imagine what it's like to wake up every day and just think, I'm in prison for what I said, for what I believe. So it seems like a very small gesture to send a Christmas card, but I don't know what else to do. So here is the English version of the letter I'm sending. I'm writing to you this Christmas from the UK to let you know that you are not forgotten beyond Belarus. Please keep your hopes up, even though times are tough. I'm sharing your story in a YouTube video for the world to see. Yours in solidarity, Fredo Rockwell. So here's the card I'm sending. I'm really pleased that I found this one. The dove obviously symbolizes peace. And the main colors are red and white, which are the colors of the Belarusian flag. Not the Lukashenko flag, the sort of fake flag that's officially in use at the moment, but the one that is used by the protesters and by the government in exile. Okay, here we go. My Russian teachers of old would be so proud of me. So first we're going to write to Alexei. There we go. That's the first one done. I think I did a passable job. I hope it's readable. But most of all, I hope this sentiment gets through. So you might be wondering if these are going to arrive in time because Christmas is just over 2 weeks away, and in America at least, post is pretty slow. But it should get there in the next few days, according to what I read, 3 to 5 days. But the good news is that according to what I've read online, Belarus is an Orthodox country, and they celebrate Christmas on the 7th of January. So I have an extra 2 weeks for these to get there. That also means if you're interested in doing likewise, you've still got time if you've seen this relatively close to when it's posted. So again, look at the pinned comment below for details and links on how you can write letters for yourself. Don't feel like you've got to handwrite them in Russian. There's a template letter that you can print out. There's a way to do it via PDF, so you just print out the letter. There are lots of things. And really, I think it's important just for them to get something. I mean, these letters are probably full of mistakes. I'm slightly worried about what they say. But I hope that just the fact they've gotten a letter from abroad, they'll realize the intent behind it, even if the words and the grammar, I hope they're close. I hope it's enough for they can understand. But I guess it's the thought that counts is what I'm trying to say. Will they actually be delivered? That depends on the Belarusian postal service and the prison authorities, which I can't control or influence. I hope so. I really hope so. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that sending a few Christmas cards is really going to make a substantial change to the situation in Belarus. But I hope for at least a moment it will bring a brief sense of hope to some people whose daily lives must be complete hell at the moment. So on that count, at least, I think it's worth doing. Again, if you'd like to take part, I'll leave links below that you can follow, and also some links if you just want to get involved in helping with Belarus's cause in general. Until then, I want to say to everyone in Belarus, Vinya Zabitia.